Give yourself a round of applause. That was awesome.
You guys are great.
Woo! Nice.
That's good, isn't it? You know what? Sometimes you've been sitting around. It's helpful to just get up and move because it helps you integrate the information.
That's right. All right, so what is a meta program? This is where it starts to get fun.
We're like two squirrels up here, dude.
You know that Jeff and I are actually 62 years old. we're just on this
Kangen
California
stuff.
raw
Where's
diet.
that Kangen water?
Yeah,
That's why it looks so good.
Kangen water and lots of raw food.
Combined, we're 62.
So we're going to talk about meta programs. What is a meta program? Meta program comes from the neurolinguistic toolbox, and it was invented by a woman named Leslie Cameron Bandler, who was married to Richard Bandler, one of the originators. And Leslie contributed this major portion to the NLP toolbox called meta programs. What meta programs are, they're preferences of how you perceive, experience, and interact with the world around you. They're ways that you're sort of, they don't really know where they come from. They're kind of hardwired for all of us. But there are ways that you can actually see people get motivated, interact, and experience the world. They also influence how you communicate and how you behave with others. And finally, meta programs operate at an unconscious level. You don't even know that they're happening. It's like it's driving the bus. It's just going, right?
It's a program that's happening behind the scenes for each one of us as human beings.
So why is this important to you? This is important because this is going to allow you to reliably make predictions about your customers' motivation and behaviors. That would be pretty useful, wouldn't it? Yes. Right? We'd love to know what reliably gets them to buy or gets them to interact with our companies. Second, you can choose specific words in the copy on your website, when you're doing sales on the phone, or when you're meeting with your customers in person. They're going to get them motivated. They're going to get them excited. And finally, you're going to get into deeper rapport and connection with your customers, which means faster conversion, lower customer acquisition costs, and something we all love, longer lifetime value of our customers. You guys ready to get into it? Yep. Awesome. So, I'd love you to take some detailed notes because we're going to do a fun exercise with this at the end that we want you to have what we talk about. Take a moment right now to answer this question in your own notebook. What would you like this year for your business or professional life? What would you like for your business or professional life this year? And underneath that, you can answer, what will having that do for you? I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Begin. Wrap that up. Okay. Now, the first meta program we're going to take a look at is called Towards and Away From. Towards and Away From is a way that people orient themselves exactly this, towards or away from things. Now, you'll notice that if my goal is to move towards Jeff, one of the best parts about this whole presentation is you're going to start to see Jeff and my meta programs, both where we're alike and where we're absolutely different. Okay? So, if your goal is to get to Jeff, okay, you could either move towards Jeff or away from
where?
That wall.
Some people actually, if you think about a house that's burning, okay, and let's say you were in a house that was burning, some people, how they answer is, I want to get away from the burning house. Some people language it as, okay, I want to go outside. So they frame their world. Most of this room is, they frame themselves in a way of as going towards something. They want to grow their businesses. But then if you hear in some of the languages, then there's an away from frame, which we're going to go into in a minute. We'll distinguish it. And I just want to premise that neither one of these are right or wrong. There's always a place for these, for each side. So let's be clear about that.
So when you're in a towards motivation, towards tend to be focused on goals, attaining, getting, achieving. They're motivated to go towards things. Whereas away from are motivated to get away from things, to be avoiding things, to get rid of stuff, or to fix things. Their motivation is to go away from problems. Now, let me tell you, Dad, I love you wherever you are in the world, and I'm going to share a fun story. My father is the strongest away from I've ever met in my life, and I'm one of the strongest towards ever, okay? And so every time I go, I'm from Chicago originally. Where are my Chicagoans again? Right? That's right. Yeah, Blackhawks. Go Blackhawks. That's right. So when I go home to Chicago, Chicago has, it's seasonal. It's 4 seasons, right? Winter, still winter, almost winter, and construction. Right? My Chicagoans know what I'm talking about. So when I go home, it's pretty much cold, right? And I get home, right? And the first thing have dinner with the family. You know what they say? They say if you think you're so enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. So I go home and I have dinner with my family, and then I say, great, I'm going out to visit my friends. And my father says, okay, great, you don't want to take Route 55 because there's tons of construction. It'll slow you down on the highway. And make sure you bring a jacket because you don't want to get sick. You don't want to go back to California with a cold. It's not good. And you got to check the tires, make sure there's enough air because I don't want to have to come out in the middle of the night and catch you. It's like, problem, you got to be careful about this, be careful about that, be careful about this, be careful about that. Careful, 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 careful.
Now, this is an important role because his father is a chief financial officer who's constantly looking at the books, making sure that the company has enough money. Those are really important check and balances in a business.
Yes. So he's a CFO of a $500 million company, and guess what? He's absolutely brilliant at keeping them out of what? Trouble. Yes. So that would be an away from frame. Now, to motivate towards people, you want to be saying things like, hey, we're going to move towards things. We're going to accomplish stuff. We're going to attain things. We're going to get you this. We'd like you to have that. We'd like you to reward you with this. This is the goals we're going towards. And to motivate away from people is the exact opposite. You want to say things like, we're going to avoid this. We're going to steer clear of these problems.
Well, just think about the insurance company. Those insurance ads, right? They're talking about how you're going to avoid problems. That's an insurance ad, where if you were to, maybe when you guys registered here and you joined us here, this is about what you're going to get, what you're going to attain, how it's going to go, a future vision of where you're going. So the copy or the language that's being used is used in a way that's either towards or away, depending on the industry that you're in.
So, we'd like you to turn to your neighbor and ask them what they wrote. Listen for what meta program, where are they on this spectrum? And what we want you to do is draw on your piece of paper a little T and a little A, just like we had, a continuum, and you're going to mark where you think your partner is in terms of strength. Are they very, 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 very towards? Or are they very, 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 very away from?
So just make a mark of where you think they are.
Okay, begin.
How you
Got
guys
it.
doing it here?
Okay, come on back. Everybody get their partner's meta program? Now,
Interesting. Okay, got it.
who had an away from as a partner? They had a strong away from frame. Awesome. So we need a microphone. Actually, let's, in the back rows, where do we have you? Back here? Who had a strong away from? Raise your hands real nice and proud. No? Okay, well then we'll be right here.
That's away from.
They're
going down.
away from that question. their hand
Who
went like this.
doesn't want to talk? Hey, who doesn't want to talk?
Right here. And so what did you get? What did she say?
She said that she wanted a consistent paycheck. And then as we delved into, well, what's consistent? It's because currently it isn't consistent. And in general, she's sort of always wanting, to avoid the things that are bad.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She absolutely wants to avoid inconsistencies. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, if I said to her, look, we're going to make sure you have constant money.
She actually,
She's like,
some of you didn't see her physiology, but there was no change in physiology.
Yeah, she's like,
Flat.
I got to process that. Now, she has to go inside and start processing into her world.
It's similar to writing, when you use a Mac and a PC trying to transfer files, it doesn't work. Okay, they just don't work as well. We want to communicate a Mac to a Mac, so go ahead.
That's a shout out to Apple. Apple, please.
Apple, we love you.
But whose map am I on if I'm talking to her about getting consistent money? I'll teach you how to make multiple streams of income, have constant money. And she's like, yeah, that's cool.
But and some of this room is going,
Now,
yeah,
someone else is going,
I like that. This room is like, yeah, that sounds exciting. Multiple streams of income.
Yes.
But some of the other rooms going, huh?
But how about we stop the inconsistencies in money? How about we make sure you never have to be concerned about not having enough money month by month? Does that sound good?
Yeah, so she's
now
starting
she's
to
in.
nod. We got a couple other nods.